Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all having a fantastic evening. Tonight I have yet another movie review. This is a horror film from the UK, English language, released in the year 2009, directed by Jake West, and this film is called Doghouse. And the story to Doghouse is as follows. Vince is handling his divorce badly. He's depressed, gone to pieces, but his mates aren't giving up on him. Struggling with their own women troubles, they drag him out for an ultimate lads drinking weekend in the country. Arriving in the village of Moodley, where the women outnumber the men 3-1, the boys find themselves holidaying in a village overrun by psychotic, homicidal zombie birds with a thirst for male flesh. So the movie takes place with a group of friends. They're men. They all have the same problem of women troubles. So their partners are getting very, very angry with them, and the main character is just going through a divorce, so he's very depressed. So the group of friends get together, and they want a weekend away from all their troubles to go to this very remote place in the country called Moodley, and to basically drink away their problems. So this promises to be the weekend to basically top all weekends. So basically the mission is to get as drunk as possible. So they get to Moodley, and this is where they realise that something is wrong, that Moodley is not like any other ordinary town. Number one, it's very, very remote, and number two, there doesn't seem to be any other males in this town, and it turns out that there is a lot more to the female population in this town than they first thought. So what happens at that point on, I'm not going to tell you. What I will say that it does turn to bloody chaos. So to prevent myself from giving away too much, I'm going to leave it up to you to find out for yourself what happens, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on the movie. I didn't really hear too much about the film, so that's pretty good to have a film that you don't know too much about, so you don't really have a high expectation. But I had the high expectation based on the fact that it was a British horror comedy, and they do horror comedies very, very well. So I had a lot to get excited about. I like Danny Dyer. A lot of people don't like him. I think he suits the role in a horror comedy very well. He was very good in Severance, so I am a fan of Danny Dyer. So to see him in this film, along with some other very well-known British actors, as I said, I had high hopes, but not knowing, my opinion on the film wasn't being influenced by other opinions. Basically, I was going in there with a clean slate. So what I got from the end of this film was a movie that wasn't a disaster. I thought the horror element of it was very good, and it was a smart sort of film. Where the problem lies is the fact that it's a horror comedy. It would have been better if this movie was just a straight-out horror film. Now, that wouldn't have worked because the story is very misogynistic. Misogynistic to the extreme, to the fact it's exaggerated to the point where it is a horror comedy. So it really wouldn't have worked if it tried to be a serious film. But why I say it would have been better if this movie was a serious film is because the comedy element to the movie is not good enough. It really isn't that funny. It says on the front here, gory, laugh out loud. Will have you in stitches. Comic genius. That is overrating the film to an extreme, because I just thought that there were moments in the film that made me smile, but there were no moments in the movie that made me laugh out loud, like Shaun of the Dead and Severance and other types of films that Britain is known for as far as making you laugh out loud. The Cottage is another one. So the comedy aspect really wasn't there, so it kind of felt like that they were trying so hard to make you laugh that they kind of, it affects the horror part. Now, the horror part was very good, as I said. There's a very nasty film. There's some good gore in it. And I liked the tension that was built. There was some suspense there as well. And when the population of this town start attacking this group of people, there was some really good moments, and it builds the horror to a standard, and I thought it was very passable. But then you've got the comedy that it kind of feels like the horror's coming naturally, but the comedy isn't. So you've got two genres that aren't gelling well together at all because of the fact, as I said, there is just not enough laughs, and that's a common sort of disaster with horror comedies. Either they have too much comedy and not enough horror, or too much horror and not enough comedy. And in this case, there's not enough comedy, which disappointed me because usually in British horror comedies, they succeed in the comedy department. But it felt like in this one, it was very desperate sort of humour. They were throwing out these lines of dialogue that was just, it didn't work. It didn't gel together. I thought the characters, I liked some of the characters. I like the fact that it's a very misogynistic film, and it is a smarter film in the fact that some men generalize all women as objects, and basically that's what the movie's about. So it's a smart sort of film. But as I said, that smartness, the intelligence gets lost because of the fact there is something that just doesn't quite stick together, and that is the comedy element to it. So it just doesn't make the film gel as well as it probably should have, and therefore it does take the enjoyment out a little bit. So the acting was good. They feel like they have a lot of fun doing it. The gore was very good. I like the fact that these zombie sort of women were done in a very exaggerated way. It just creates a lot more of a light-hearted approach. And I thought the ending was pretty pretty good. Not really. I thought that there were some parts of the ending that were a little bit lazy, but overall that was an acceptable sort of ending for a horror comedy. But as I said, it just doesn't deliver with the comedy element. It's just not that funny. I think it's overrated as far as a comedy film is concerned. But as I said, with the horror element of the movie does save it, and for that I would definitely recommend it, because there are some very nasty scenes, and I thought the nastiness was done very well. Cinematography, very, very good. It captures a very dreary British, remote country lifestyle, and it's something that they're known for. And I thought, as a production value, it's a very well made film. The acting was really up to standard, but as I said, when it gels the comedy with the horror, it just doesn't quite work, and therefore that is a letdown in that department. But it is smarter than it appears. If you're easily offended by misogynistic, sort of sexist films, then you're not going to like this, because women are painted in a very negative way. But it's a very light-hearted film, so you just don't take yourself too seriously, and you will get some enjoyment out of it. But as I said, it's more of a horror than it is a comedy, and so the comedy aspect of it, considering that I love British humour, was very disappointing. So overall, I'm going to give it 3 stars. I thought it was well worth the effort based on the horror alone. But I couldn't help but wonder, could it have been a lot better if the script was up to standard with a comedy? So 3 stars for the British horror film Doghouse. It's still coming recommended. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.